Eugene Berryman, top coach in the business, period. Period. Story's over. Eugene Berryman. I got to tell you this because you're not going to like him, by the way. You probably, if you know who he is, you probably already don't like him. I don't know why that is. He comes across as brat. I've seen it too. He comes across even as arrogant. I've seen it too. That can't be who he really is. It just can't. You can't have the level of success. You can't build the team that he has by having some of the components that our industry has stereotyped him as. I've seen comments I've seen when he does interviews. I see the pushback. I think he's one of those guys, and I'm guessing, I don't know him personally, but I'm guessing that I'm right. That if you get to know him more, you see through that. You see how, when you start to understand, right? You know guys like that? Maybe you are a guy like that people misunderstood. Your first impression is not your best impression. You got to try and try again, but then eventually you win the room over. He's got to be one of these guys. And when I say that he is the best coach, he is the best coach. It's over. That's not because he's got Hooker in the stable, because he's got Volkanovski in the stable, because he has a total of 14 guys within the UFC, because he just won a fight on Contender Series and got a 15th guy in the UFC. It's not just because he's got Adesanya. That resume is beautiful. That's not why I give him this. There's other beautiful gyms out there. There's other mega gyms out there. I say it because he's got a team. And I don't think there's many other guys you can say that about. I know you want to. I know when I was coming up, I wanted that to be true with Team Quest, and I watched it all fall apart. Most of us don't even talk to each other anymore. I know Shootbox wanted that to be true, but unless you see one of the jerseys from the olden day, those boys ain't still hanging out. I know the American Top Team wants it to be true, but I'm watching Poirier and Masvidal both go after the same fight. Oh, and by the way, Colby just got the boot from the gym because they couldn't all get along. I know that TriStar would like it to be. I know that the AKA has guys coming and going, and Daniel Cormier sure brought this unity to that gym. And he sure brought a bond to that gym. I know that. And they're up there in the lead. But, man, I haven't seen anything like what Eugene Berryman's put together. And I mean nothing. Forrest Griffin made a comment. Were you guys watching the Contender Series the other night? Team comes rolling in. They got a guy from City Kickboxing, it's called. City Kickboxing. What a stupid name, by the way. I mean, what a stupid name. They do MMA, and they put kickboxing on the sign, right? I think you got to appreciate that. I don't say that as a joke. That is a really stupid name. You're doing an MMA gym, but you're going to call it something where it doesn't make any sense, and these guys are the best. They go through a pandemic that I can only tell you what I read about. They're in New Zealand, which worldwide was in the top 3 most isolated, with restrictions, countries in the world. They moved into the gym. They didn't know what else to do. They couldn't get to and fro. So they moved into the gym. This was guys, big names, that did not have a fight coming up, but their teammates did. So Adesanya moves into the gym to help some ham and egger that you've never heard of, and I could have produced the guy's name right now. He's on a sleeping bag next to Dan Hooker, who does not have a fight coming up. Volkanovski's on his way. I mean, it goes on, and they have 15 guys in the gym under contract with the Ultimate Fighting Championship. That is an insanely high number. And it was 14 until the Contender Series, of which I just referenced, when their guy won. They come rolling in. You got Volkanovski. You got Adesanya, 1 and 2 of the biggest fight card of the year, sitting at the Apex on a Wednesday night because they had a teammate competing. And Forrest Griffin saw them and looks around and goes, man, how many of you are there? Or something along these lines. But it was a very real, it's a very natural comment by Fofo, and I loved it. I was at an arena. Oh, you know what it was? It was Volkanovski versus Max Part 1. And if you remember Volkanovski versus Max Part 1, they were a co-main event underneath Usman versus Covington. I happened to be there. I was participating with ESPN, so I'm to the arena early, and I'm on the other side of the curtain. Volkanovski comes walking in the building. Show hadn't started yet. Show kicks off at 3:30, guys. What you guys see, maybe you sit down to ESPN at 5 o'clock, but the pay-per-view party all starts at 7 o'clock. The show starts at 3:30. First walk's at 3:15 if you happen to be there live. Volkanovski comes walking in the building. Volkanovski had a teammate who was the second fight of the night. So Volkanovski's report time, not only due to the organization of the UFC, but due to the regulations of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, is not for another 4.5 hours. He came in 4.5 hours earlier than he was supposed to on the biggest night of his life, which is his first ever world title fight. Because he had a teammate fighting, and it wasn't even a question. It was not even a maybe. Of course he was going to be there when the teammate fought. Some of you are going to relate to that. Some of you grew up in Little League, you grew up in soccer, maybe did some junior high or even some high school sports, going, of course that's the way it is. Of course we were there for a teammate. I agree with you. That's the way it was when I was younger too. I get into college, that's the way there was. As soon as I got out of college, it wasn't that way. Whether I was wrestling, whether I was doing jiu-jitsu, whether I was doing MMA, it's not the same. Now it's elected. The coach didn't put you in the bus. The coach didn't tell you to be here. Your parents didn't. And a lot of guys don't choose to do it. And this team that is a true team, you have to look to their leader, which is Eugene Berryman, who I think is getting a bad rap by you guys. I think he's coming across in the media incorrectly. And I don't know him personally. Maybe he is brash and maybe he is arrogant, but boy, he's done something special. He's got a right to be. He is a leader of men. He set out to do a kickboxing gym in the city. And he's got 15 fighters under contract with the largest organization in the world. It's really a wonderful job. He has some secrets. There's something there that he knows. He has unity and he has bonding, and that is very hard to come by. And it matters. When your back's against the wall and you're that last fight of the night and everybody's already done and they're half cocked sitting in the first and second row waiting for the waitress to come over so they can get another double fister, and you got a team that's there for you having your back to the end, it makes a difference.